Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We'll be getting started here in a moment. Thank you so much for taking the time to join. Today's webinar, we're going to be discussing how to invest self-directed IRA LLC funds in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. So hopefully you find this helpful. It's a very topic we get a lot of questions on and helped a lot of folks do exactly this. So we wanted to share some of this knowledge and information. I would ask you to please like this video. Please subscribe for notifications of our weekly webinars. For those that are watching right now, you can ask questions in the chat and I will take those questions as we go through the slides, answer those questions. And if you're watching on a recording, you can ask questions in the comments or you could just contact us for more information about your situation. So let's get started. So here's a roadmap of where we're going. So we're going to talk about, first off, what is cryptocurrency, the IRS view, so taxation considerations, the mechanics, how to invest, how to buy funds in an IRA LLC, how to buy with funds in an IRA LLC or invest really in Bitcoin or other types of cryptocurrency. So the specific steps there, like establishing the IRA LLC, purchase, storage of the cryptocurrency. Practical tips, we're going to compare with the solo 401k IRA LLC process. We're going to go through a sample of how to open up an IRA LLC account at Gemini. And then finally, how to get more information about your situation. So let's get started. And like I said, please ask questions and we'll get those answered here during the webinar. So first off, in terms of what is it, according to the IRS revenue ruling 2019-24, cryptocurrency is a type of virtual currency. So popular examples are going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, etc. So that's the baseline of what we're starting with. In terms of how they view the taxation, the IRS has issued guidance going back to 2014 that they will view it for tax purposes as property. So for federal tax purposes, it's going to be taxed the same way that you would tax, say, real estate, right? So the income or gains outside of a retirement account from the sale of cryptocurrency would be subject to capital gains tax rates. So it could be short term, it could be long term as applicable. Inside a retirement account, those gains are going to be tax deferred. So it would be just like if you were investing, a lot of our clients, of course, are used to the concept of using retirement money to invest in alternative investments like real estate. So it's going to be analogous to that in the sense that those gains are going to be tax deferred or potentially even tax free if you're using a Roth account, or in this case, it would be a Roth IRA LLC account. Now, one exception would be one possible exception would be if you're investing in mining cryptocurrency. So as opposed to trading cryptocurrency, so the actual generation of the currency or the mining of the currency may be viewed as a business. So when you invest your IRA LLC funds in a business, you always want to consider whether the income that's generated is subject to unrelated business income tax. So that would be one possible exception to the rule that it's tax deferred. Now, as far as the steps to invest in cryptocurrency, step number one is opening up an IRA LLC account. So first off, you want to make sure that you have you can make IRA contributions. So you need to make sure you have retirement money, right? So you can make contributions, or you have an existing retirement account where you can roll over money from that account. So that could be a former employer plan. It could be an IRA, whether it's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. So unlike a solo 401k where you can't transfer money from a Roth IRA, you can use a Roth IRA LLC to invest Roth IRA funds in cryptocurrency. Next, you would choose a self-directed IRA custodian or trust company that will allow you to invest in a brand new LLC. So with the IRA LLC structure, you have a new LLC where the member of that LLC is your IRA account, and you are the manager. So you have to get your money into an IRA at a custodian or trust company that will allow you to invest in an LLC. Of course, if you open it up, an IRA at a typical brokerage firm, retail brokerage firm, they don't allow just regular retail customers to invest in an LLC. So you need to go to a specialty company, and then you would need to choose an IRA LLC provider that has experience in helping others invest in what you want to invest in, like cryptocurrency. So that would be a company like us. We have experience. We set up the LLC. We facilitate the transaction. We prepare all the investment documents that the custodian requires before you can transfer the money from the self-directed IRA account to the LLC bank account for the LLC that's owned by your IRA. So once you opened up that self-directed IRA, you need to roll over the money from, again, a former employer plan, an IRA, or you're making IRA contributions directly to that account. You open up a bank account in the name and under the EIN of the LLC that is going to be owned by your IRA, and then you transfer the money from that self-directed IRA account over to the IRA LLC bank account. Then step number 3, you open up an account at the cryptocurrency exchange in the name of that same LLC, because they're going to have requirements that, I mean, number one, you're investing through the LLC that's owned by your IRA, and then separately, the cryptocurrency exchange is going to usually require that the account be funded from another bank account that matches the name that's on the cryptocurrency exchange account. So if you have an LLC, XYZ LLC account at the cryptocurrency exchange, it needs to match the funding account. In this case, it's going to be the bank account that's funded with your IRA money. So you open up the account in the name and EIN of that same LLC that's owned by your IRA. Then you transfer the money from the IRA LLC bank account to the account at the crypto exchange. And in a couple slides from now, we're going to go through some more detail and some practical tips on both opening the account at the cryptocurrency exchange as well as funding it. And then we're also going to go through an example at a specific exchange, i.e. Gemini. So step number 4, storing the cryptocurrency. So you need to have a separate and segregated wallet exclusively for your IRA LLC investments. So you can't be storing the cryptocurrency in the same wallet that you might be using to store cryptocurrency that you acquired with non-retirement money. Number 2, store that wallet. So usually there's a lot of thinking that cold storage, so a physical wallet, is going to be more secure. So you would store that physical wallet in a bank account that's associated with that LLC. So it could be that same bank account that you use to fund the account at the cryptocurrency exchange. Open up a safety deposit box associated with that IRA LLC account and store the wallet there. So I see we got a question. I really appreciate you asking questions. So we're going to answer that. Can this all be done through a solo 401k rather than an IRA LLC? The answer is yes. That's a great question. And we're going to contrast a few things on this slide, but we actually did another webinar, and I'll include a link to that webinar in the comments after we post the recording to the other webinar we did on how to invest solo 401k funds in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, including how to do it at Gemini. So thank you for that question. Please continue to ask questions. In the meantime, we're going to go through to the next slide. So in terms of some of the practical tips that I was alluding to, so it's very important that the account at the cryptocurrency exchange is opened up under the EIN and name of the LLC that's owned by your IRA. And that importance is only increased as the industry has matured and the IRS is catching up to the cryptocurrency market, because these cryptocurrency exchanges are now doing tax reporting. So if the cryptocurrency exchange is doing tax reporting, you want to make sure that it's doing the reporting with respect to the EIN or under the EIN that is that is associated with the LLC that's owned by your IRA. So if you were to open up this account under your EIN, right, i.e. your social security number, and the cryptocurrency exchange were to do reporting with respect to your social, now from the IRS's perspective, they may be expecting you to be reporting gains on your 1040, where in your mind, you're thinking you're doing this through your retirement account. Again, it's all tax deferred, per the slides earlier. So you're not reporting it. So now because of this gap, you may receive a follow-up inquiry from the IRS questioning, what happened to this money, and then you have to explain yourself, et cetera, et cetera. So to avoid all of that, you want to make sure that the account is opened up under the EIN of the LLC that's owned by your IRA. Now, for our IRA LLC clients, of course, we obtain that EIN number, and we help our clients invest their money in this fashion just to make it very easy for you. And of course, we would remind you about this as we go through that process. But that's a very important point, is the EIN number. And the practical reason is because of the tax reporting. Next practical tip is funding the account at the cryptocurrency exchange. Now, some cryptocurrency exchanges don't allow you to fund the account with fiat money. Fiat money is like US dollars, right? So of course, you need to fund it with US dollars because you want to invest US dollars that are in your retirement account. So you got to pick an exchange that's going to allow you to fund it with US dollars. For example, like a Gemini, like a Coinbase, just to name a couple of just a couple quick examples. Number two, the mechanics of actually funding that account. Usually the cryptocurrency exchange is going to require the names match. So if the account is opened up under the LLC at the exchange, the account where the money is coming from needs to be opened up under that same LLC. Now, what's interesting is that sometimes the exchanges will allow the funding account to be associated not with the name of the LLC, but with maybe the owner of that LLC. So, you might have an LLC that's not owned by your IRA and you want to invest in cryptocurrency. You open up an LLC, it's say Gemini. You open up an account under the name of that personal LLC at Gemini. Gemini might allow you to fund that LLC account from your personal account because you own that LLC, right? But under the IRA rules, you cannot fund the LLC account directly with personal funds. Remember that the LLC is owned by your IRA. So the only money that can go into an account that's associated with that LLC needs to be IRA funds. So if you were to make a contribution to your IRA from your personal account, like assuming that you're eligible to do so, it would first go into the IRA at the self-directed IRA company that allows you to invest in the LLC, and then from there to the LLC bank account, and then from the LLC bank account to the crypto account. So even though the exchange might allow you to fund it directly, under the IRA rules, you want to make sure you don't do that. So that's a good tip there. Private transactions. So here, this is where you might buy cryptocurrency from a private individual as opposed to buying cryptocurrency on an exchange. So under the rules, you can do that, but you want to be cognizant of the prohibited transaction rules, number one. So you don't want to buy cryptocurrency from a disqualified person like yourself or a spouse or your parents or your kids, just in a few common examples. Number two, you want to make sure that you don't tie that transaction to a transaction that you might be conducting in your own name. So if you are buying cryptocurrency with both retirement money and non-retirement money from a private seller, it really needs to be two separate transactions that are not tied or conditioned upon one another. Okay, great. So let's go to the next slide, and please don't hesitate to ask questions as we go through this. So now let's compare and contrast a little bit back to the good question as far as using solo 401k funds. So solo 401k investors, they don't necessarily have to use an LLC, but you could, right? That would be acceptable, provided that it's an LLC that's owned by your solo 401k. In that case, just like with the IRA LLC steps, you have to open up the account at the cryptocurrency exchange under the name and EIN of the LLC that's owned by your solo 401k. You want to fund that LLC at the cryptocurrency exchange from an account that's in the name of the same LLC that's owned by your solo 401k. You could also fund it directly from the solo 401k if that's allowed by the cryptocurrency exchange. Again, sometimes they have naming requirements, or even by the owner of the solo 401k. So if you're eligible to make those contributions and permitted by the cryptocurrency exchange. So the reasons that you might want to invest via an LLC is the cryptocurrency exchange does not open accounts in the name of a 401k trust, as well as asset segregation and limited liability protection are another reason that some folks do it in this fashion. So let's keep going. And again, don't hesitate to ask questions. So now we're going to flip and go through an example of opening up an account at Gemini. So Gemini, they are one of the more developed. They have one of the more developed processes in terms of opening up an account for a solo 401k, as well as opening up an account for an LLC that's owned by your IRA. So they do require that you go through their institutional account process. So you first have to submit an onboarding questionnaire, and then a representative will reach out to you with the rest of the onboarding package. So we've got a little snippet here of their onboarding questionnaire. So here the example is Smith Roth IRA LLC. Company type is going to be personal or private investment vehicle. And then that's a pretty brief onboarding questionnaire. Then you get the email with the onboarding package. So the type of additional documentation that they need is identification for the beneficial owners, the authorized signers. So that's you as the manager of the LLC and really the beneficial owner of the IRA, including your date of birth, social security number. So they have to know their customer. Copy of articles of organization of the LLC, the operating agreement. These are documents that we include as part of our package that we prepare for our IRA LLC clients. A signed W-9 form, so that would be obtained under the EIN for the LLC that's owned by your IRA, again, which is included as part of those IRA LLC documents. And then the source of the money. So they're looking for the IRA LLC bank account statement. Now, as far as funding the account, like we talked about before, it's important to choose an exchange that's going to allow the account to be funded with US dollars. And yes, Gemini is in that category. They do allow the account to be funded with US dollars. The name on the account must match the name of the LLC. And again, like we talked about before, you want to make sure that, here's an example where Gemini allows the account to be funded from an account that's in the name of the beneficial owner of the LLC. But under those IRA LLC rules, the LLC must only be funded from the IRA account. Processing time is going to be 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks. So that's a good resource there. And we'll be posting more information on our website about just how to invest in cryptocurrency, and of course, just generally opening up an IRA LLC account. So if you're looking to learn more about your situation, you can contact us at business@mysolo401k.net. You can give us a call at 1-800-489-7571. I would encourage you to ask questions if you have more questions. We've got more time, of course, to field those, or if you are watching this as a recording, you can ask questions in the comments. Well, I do appreciate everyone taking the time to join and watch. We'll be posting this recording, and please like this video. Please subscribe for notifications of our weekly webinars. Hope everyone has a great day. Thank you so much.